Previously on Professor Layton, a Puzzling Retrospective. Curious Village has sold really well. And with that success, Level 5 starts working on the next game in the series for the original trilogy. It's now time to open up the box for the next game in the series, Professor Layton and the Diabolical, or Pandora's Box.
Originally, I considered this game to be the fan favorite in the series, but it turns out from a Reddit poll that I did not too long ago, it turns out that I'm actually wrong. So yeah, I guess we'll get into the fan favorite next time. But Professor Layton the Diabolical Box. Really quickly before I talk about the game, I want to kind of like give my personal experience about this game and also Curious Village, since I kind of went over that a little bit in the previous episode. So let's talk about it. Now this is a little confession, but the first time I actually played Curious Village and Diabolical Box was to prep for the video, which was way back in like, I want to say April, and also to prep for the new Layton game coming out. So yeah, and I know that kind of contradicts it that I said like in the first episode that the series means a lot to me. And I still stand by that. Like, I still think the series means a lot to me in many ways. But yeah, for the first time, like back in April, that was the first time I actually played Curious Village and Diabolical Box and beat them. But there was mainly one issue that I did have with the two games. It's mainly deciding which one I prefer, because I'm gonna be honest, I had a huge back and forth case going on with Curious Village and Diabolical Bots. I could not decide for my life which one I prefer. I like Curious Village because I think it does well with the puzzles. I like Diabolical Bots because it adds a little bit more story to it. It's like the pros and cons were like in the middle together is what I'm trying to get at here. So now that it's months later, since it's November by the time I'm filming this, have my opinions changed? Well, we should probably find out about that. Just like last time, I want to go ahead and take a look at the game's box art, which, out of the box art for the OG trilogy, this one is probably my favorite. Probably because I'm a fan of trains. I did grow up with Thomas the Tank Engine after all. But seriously, I do like Layton and Luke opening the box, and even seeing this guy right here, who seems like the big bad, is pretty neat. Also on the back we have a brain-twisting mystery and download puzzles via the Nintendo Wi-Fi connection. Also for the UK box art, I will admit this one is actually probably one of my favorite ones, simply because I do like the fact that the box is the one on the cover. And luckily in the next game it actually does get more creative with that one as well, so yeah. Anyways, there isn't really anything to mention other than that when I show the game card on my 3DS, you'll see Layton smile instead of him just looking into your soul. Which, I like it when I see Layton smile. I don't know, but just seeing that reminds me of something. It's the good old days, back in like, what, 2011 to 2014? I got to spend time with my grandma just having fun. Man, I really do miss those days. I wish I could experience them again. Sorry about that. I should go ahead and begin the game. This is Professor Layton and the Diabolical / Pandora's Box. Okay, so this time we see a train passing by with two people facing away on the top screen. Interesting start. So just like last time, we'll need to write down a name and... Gosh darn it! They brought it back.
So, in the first game, you needed to draw the letters, probably because level 5 wanted to take advantage of the touchscreen. But the problem I have is that the game was not good with what letter you wrote down sometimes. Like, here's an example of the footage from episode 1 that I cut to prove my point.
Oh, yeah, the way you first filmed this, the way you like write it down, I completely forgot that you have to draw it, because again, it's touchscreen stuff, but, yeah, move you out of the way. Let's see.
Luckily it gets changed to a keyboard in the other games, but doing this annoys the crap out of me. Here, I'll do this to prove my point. Also, before I begin, just like last time, gameplay will be the DS version, cutscenes will be the mobile edition. Alright, let's start. The game starts with a small narration talking about a box that, when opening it, can kill you? Well, that's a way to start. And now we see the Professor and Luke boarding a train called the Voluntary Express. To where, it doesn't say yet, so I'll give a rundown of the game's story. In a flashback via a letter, it's revealed that Dr. Schrader, who's Layton's mentor, recently came across an old artifact called the Elysian Box. And it's known that whoever opens the box will be killed, which opens the first mystery. And yes, this was in Curious Village, however, I didn't feel like it was that important, and I prefer how this game did it, as this game has a bit more story to it. So after reading the letter, Layton and Luke head out to see Dr. Schrader. Of course, before leaving, Puzzle 1 pops up. Again, another simple one, just like the first game. And after that, we arrive to Schrader's office, with a puzzle to open the door, which I do think is clever to solve. They open the door to find Schrader dead! Oh crap! So the rumors, I guess, were true? To be honest, I wasn't too sure either.
While checking Schrader's body, Layton finds a ticket for the Voluntary Express, which, heck, doesn't even reveal a location to where. And after calling the police, we see Chelmy arrive with his assistant, Barton, which, if you think about it, this is the first time Layton has met Chelmy, as in the last game, Don Palo was disguised as him. That's some pretty interesting lore drop right there. Before getting kicked out, Layton finds torn pieces of paper that made some kind of picture, but Chelmy just takes it away. Well, crap. Since that didn't go well, Layton and Luke head out and start their own investigation to figure out what the heck just happened. This leads us back to the present and begins Chapter 1. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the gameplay since there are some changes. So the main changes you will find are things like white lines being added for dialogue options. That isn't puzzles, of course. During puzzles, you get the memo pad. You can head back to the title screen via the trunk. And the game is able to add voice acting during some of the 2D dialogue, like, you know, when the characters are facing at each other, like this example right here. Yes, they have voice acting for that part, which, again, is impressive because this is on the DS, and this released like in what, 2008? Plus a couple changes with the hint coins. All these changes are really good ways to fix some of the small issues I had with Curious Village. Although this game does add some more issues, unfortunately. For example, the game's pacing. One of my biggest issues with this game is that sometimes the game will just stop and give you a notification like this. Which, trust me, it does get old. And yeah, I know it's a way to help newcomers, but most people have already played a Layton game at this point, and it just gets a bit annoying. Okay, let's get back to the gameplay, shall we? While exploring, we get to meet two brand new characters who will be important. Beluga, if I said the name correctly, probably not, and his nephew Sammy. Oh, also Chemley is on the train as well. He was helping a woman find her boy, which turns out to be a dog, and that Flora took the pup. She also mentions that she didn't want to be alone, which is why she's on the train. Luckily, Layton lets Flora join. All he asks is to be careful. After returning the pup, that mystery is done. The train just stops? Probably because there's another train in the way, so we gotta solve this puzzle first. With the train back on track, our heroes arrive to a town called Dropstone, which starts Chapter 2. And we find out that the town is celebrating its 50-year anniversary. Oh, how nice.
While exploring, solving puzzles, and maybe doing the mini-games, I'll talk about it later during the intermission this time, Flora gets taken away, but seems fine, and we see a girl board on the train before it starts since she wants to fulfill her late grandmother's wishes. Okay. And by the way, I don't know if it's said, I can't remember, but her name is Katya, if you wanted to know. And now we're on to chapter 3. Holy crap, that was fast. Where the trio decide to explore the deluxe cars on the train. But while doing so, all 3 of them fall asleep? And when they wake up, Sammy says that they're about to arrive to Falsense, which is also found through the ticket. I also like that you can actually find this ticket in the game's manual. That is a really nice touch that I do like the developers did. When Layton, Luke, and Flora hop off the train, they start to notice that it's already dark outside, and the picture put up must be really... must be really old, like 30 years old. Also, the trio does get a bit dizzy for a little bit, but when they open the door, we see a bright and colorful town? That's really weird. Well, I guess we'll find out more about it in chapter 4. Before we do, however, Flora mentions that she isn't feeling well and needs to get some rest at the hotel. By the way, I love the answer to this puzzle as hotel is spelled on the building. That is actually really funny. After dropping off Flora, Layton and Luke begin exploring and find out that there's a rumor going around that there might be a vampire in the big castle down there. Yeah, that. I'll also add that Beluga, Sammy, and Katya are here as well, simply to find the Elysian box. They also find a journal that has like a goat on the front cover. Seeing this reminds Layton of the photo that Chumley stole, so when Layton asks Chumley for the photo, it turns out that Chumley had a hole in his pocket the whole time. So pretty much for chapter 5, Luke and Layton are just trying to get the scraps back. And when they get all the scraps, it shows the Elysian box. For a couple seconds due to the wind, mainly the scrap with the goat on it is missing. Well, gone per se, I shouldn't say missing, it's just gone at this point. Bye bye. After that, Barton asks the duo to head back to the hotel as Chelmy might know who murdered Dr. Schrader, which leads into chapter 6. But before I get into chapter 7, I want to take a quick intermission as, again, this video is probably going by too quick, which, again, I'm not trying to do on purpose, since even though I think this game does focus a bit more on some story elements, most of the game is still puzzles at the end of the day. Just like last time, I'll talk about the music, voice acting, and the minigames, but first, I want to talk about how I got the original trilogy. Like, remember back in the end of episode 1 where I showed this picture of the Layton games just randomly on a counter? Yeah, I want to kind of like talk about how I got those games since it's kind of a fun story, I guess. I don't know. I want to try something fun this time to add a little story, I guess. Yeah. Let me talk about it really quickly and then I'll get on to the other stuff. So back during the beginning of April, like earlier this year, I drove up to a different state for spring break, and one of the things I did was hung out with my brother, Mike, who I've mentioned on the channel before, and we went to a video game store, which surprisingly had the original 3 Layton games, so I bought them. The store also had Last Spectre and Miracle Mass, but I didn't get them since it would have cost me more money. Like at the time when I was there, I think Last Spectre was like, what, 90 bucks there? And I was like, nope, not doing that, no. So yeah, I decided to hold off on that. I'll definitely be getting the games at some point. Like actually right now, by the time I'm recording this, I actually do have the cartridge for Last Spectre. I just don't have a case for it yet, which I should probably get at some point, but we'll wait in due time. And of course, I just gotta order the other games, although we'll see how everything else goes for reasons I'll get into later on with the series. If you know, you know. Okay, the minigames. Let's talk about them. The first one is camera, where you just place parts of a camera in the correct spot. And after finishing, it will let you take a picture, spot differences, and give you a puzzle after finishing, which is honestly kind of forgettable as it does really lead, well, does, it says does, I guess, in the script. forgettable. What the heck? It doesn't leave an impact simply because, well, it's just a freaking camera. At least that's how I feel. I just don't think it leaves an impact on me per se. Some people probably like it. I personally don't. The second one is Hamster, which was already shown during, like, what, chapter 3, I'm pretty sure? Because there was, like, a rat who was in the kitchen of the train. Yeah, that. Where you make this little guy, which you can also name, by the way. I think my name is very original. Try and lose some weight, which is probably my favorite one, as trying to figure out where to place items is a lot of fun. Also, seeing the hamster run around is pretty cute. It even has little dialogue too, which is 10 times better as well. And then for the third and final one, tea. So for this one, you have to make blends of tea and give it to people in fall scents. You'll know when the characters need them when you see them start sweating. Now, from what I saw, again, thank you, Voyant, I really appreciate it. This was considered to be the fan favorite, which, I'm gonna give a really quick hot take right now. I actually hate this minigame. First problem is just blending the tea, as you have to guess the blend, and most of the time, it wouldn't blend. And then there's just giving the tea itself. Like I said, you'll know when to give it since, you know, the characters will start sweating. But the problem is that the chance of seeing someone sweat is completely random. And if you give it the wrong tea, you'll have to wait until they sweat again, as it's still random. This is probably my least favorite out of the whole trilogy, as making progress on it took forever. I remember during one of my gameplays, I had to go back and forth a bunch of times. They were not sweating. I went ahead and continued the story simply because I needed to make progress. Then out of nowhere, they finally decided to start sweating. It was frustrating. And trust me, I was relieved when I was done with this minigame. I was relieved. Okay, I should probably not stay frustrated for too long, as again, we still got more we gotta get through. So, of course, let's talk about the voice acting. So, of course, for this game, Chris and Lonnie / I guess, kind of Maria, still voice their characters. Layton, Don Paolo, Chelmy. Oh wait, I just realized, did I just spoil the game? Ah, fuck it. I think you guys already knew that Don Paolo would be in this game anyways. But yeah, Chris and Lonnie / Maria came back to voice their characters. So for this section, the only characters I can really talk about are Katya and the main antagonist, who I'm going to go ahead and just say their name. Their name is Anton. I was going to talk about Beluga and Sammy since they do also have voice acting, but I actually don't know who the voice actors are since it's not actually listed on the source I'm using, which is behind the voice actors. Okay, this is an extra clip that I needed to add because this was actually a couple days later, but it turns out that I think Beluga is also voiced by Christopher Miller. I could be wrong. I think a Professor Layton Out of Context Twitter page mentioned somewhere saying that he did voice the character, and if that's the case, well, I guess Chris voiced Beluga? I don't know. If that's actually the case, please let me know. And then whoever voiced Sammy, I still don't know who it is. And if it was Christopher Miller, then again, this freaking guy has so much vocal talent and I have mad respect for it. So for Katya, she's voiced by Cynthia Gary. I hope I said that name correctly. Who, according to Behind the Voice Actors, which is again my source, this is her only role for a video game character, which I find odd, as I thought she did other projects. I guess on IMDb there also is some more listings, but again, I kind of want to focus more on voice acting, not like actual acting projects, since, you know. But, yeah, I will admit that for the role she got, yeah, she does pretty good. I kind of wish she was a little seen more, I guess, but for the most part, yeah, I really do like her performance as Katya. It's great. As for Anton, he's voiced by Mark Carr. His last name has like 2 R's on the end of it. That's interesting to say the least, because it says Carr, I guess. Who hasn't really done too many projects, but I actually do recognize some of them since he did characters for Metroid Other M and Saw the video game. That's like that's like different franchise right there. He voices a villain, or not really a villain, an antagonist in a Professor Layton game, and then you voice a character from Saw the video game. That's like such a big difference, I swear. And just like Katya, I also think he does a pretty good job as Anton. Although I really do wish that we got more opportunities to see him, since he's not really shown in the game too much, other than like the last chapter of the game, which is really unfortunate, as again, I think he does a pretty good job. And lastly, let's go ahead and talk about the music. The music. So one thing I do like about Diabolical Bots is that you get to explore more set locations. First thing, you're in London, then you're on the Monterey Express, then you're in Dropstone, and then you're in False Sense. Like, you're just exploring a lot today. And since you get to explore different set locations, this, gives more of an opportunity to get more different kinds of music. Examples I'm going to go ahead and play is like the Monterey Express. Here, have a listen. Here's the soundtrack for Dropstone. And probably my personal favorite out of all the music, and probably the original trilogy as a whole, the soundtrack for False Sense. To me, pretty much the whole entire soundtrack for this game is a pretty big improvement from Curious Village, and honestly, I think the music is pretty much going up at this point. Just wait until we get to the next game. I promise you will not be disappointed. Okay, that intermission was probably too long. I think it's time to continue with Chapter 6 now. Layton and Luke return to find out that everyone is here. And that Chumley believes Sammy killed Dr. Schrader. Wait, this guy?
Oh, come on, officer, man. My only crime is rocking. And rocking ain't a crime. Yow! Let me go.
Layton shuts the photo of the bots, and Flora comments about the goat on the box. Wait a minute. Flora hasn't even seen the bots before. And then it clicks, even though we already knew at this point. Layton does the usual point and thinks that Flora is guilty since, again, you can't see the goat. It actually looks more like a frog. It's kind of ironic because usually my online presence most of the time, for like with some of my friends, I'm known as Sprig Planter, aka the frog from Amphibia. It's literally my Discord profile, for Christ's sake. But of course, this is not Flora. It's Don Paolo, which you can figure out in Chapter 3, duh. Chumley tries to grab Don, but is able to escape. But also drops the Elysian box. Beluga does ask for the box since, well, it's a family heirloom. I don't know if I mentioned that, but it was part of his, family, pretty much. But for some reason, the hotel bellhop, out of all people, says that he can't claim it since the town already cut ties with him long ago. So I guess Layton gets the box now. Sweet. And that's pretty much the last time you'll see Beluga in this game.
Bye, have a great time.
So Layton and Luke head upstairs and decide to open the box, where they find it empty and not dead.
We're still alive.
Well, I guess that means they should go exploring again. Luckily, Sammy does give our heroes access to the museum. I'm gonna say right now, this line took maybe 5 attempts to read. I'm not even joking. Where we now find out about Anton, who is still in the castle to this day, and head to a mine where they find out how the Harrison family found some gold, and notice that after getting a piece of metal that was also there, people started dying to some kind of unknown illness. Oh, geez, that's a little creepy, I'm not gonna lie. So after finding out, Layton and Luke head out to the castle and begin Chapter 7. Right as they arrive, they meet up with Nigel, the butler, who introduces us to Anton, who, still looks the same as the photo in the museum. So is the rumor true about him being a vampire? Well, for now, Layton and Luke head off to bed, and all of a sudden, we see a vision of a dance going on where a girl who does look like Katya stops dancing after seeing Professor Layton. After watching probably the most creepy cutscene in any Layton game, I'm not gonna lie, this did creep me out a bit. We find out that Anton has captured our heroes. Luckily they escape after Anton leaves and solving these 2 puzzles. When trying to escape, they find Katya, and yes, once again, this is the part right here where the final act begins and the big plot twist, all that kind of stuff, yada yada yada. So if you want to avoid them getting spoiled, which again, this whole entire series is spoiling you in the first place, so come on, you need to actually play the games or watch videos on it. I'll go ahead and pull out the timestamp so that way you guys won't get spoiled for this section, as trust me, it's a lot to take in. So yeah, anyways, 3, 2, 1. Alright, let's do this. So while the main 3 try to escape, they get caught by Anton, who recognizes Katya and calls her Sophia.
I've waited.
Yeah, considering that she's probably not okay with this, she hides behind Layton and makes Anton want to duel Layton. But only one of the swords are real.
Is real.
Oh wow, I wonder what the answer is. Anyways, it's fight scene time!
I didn't think you had it in you, Mr. Layton.
Layton!
Sophia belongs to me. You can't have her.
Look out!
Something strange is happening. I just need to catch my breath.
No more! Please, just stop!
During the fight, however, Anton starts to get tired. And then we get the big plot twist. Anton is actually Katya's grandfather. And the reason why Anton looks so young is because of the gas from the mine, where whatever you see or think will become real, which is kind of hard to explain. It was difficult for me, at least, since I had to visit the Layton wiki and try my best to explain it. In which case, I will do my best, and if I suck at explaining what's going on, I do sincerely apologize. But, yeah, thank you, Professor Layton wiki. So when the Harrison family went mining, the metal they grabbed caused a gas to spread and cause hallucinations where what you saw would become real, which I had to bring up the box, since that, in the box specifically, was a piece of the gas. Since people thought it would kill you, that's what it would do. And yes, it did not work on Luke and Layton, but that's mainly because they were already affected by the gas because they were in false sense already, so yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna really quickly just admit that this twist is honestly the one that just straight up confused me the most, and I had to check the Layton wiki just to make sure that I read this correctly. And again, well, not really again, but to be honest, out of all the plot twists for this trilogy specifically, this one's probably my least favorite. It literally is just the characters, I guess, well, getting high, pretty much. Like, that's just a little bit too ridiculous for me, I'm not gonna lie. But you might be asking, what's up with Anton, as something is clearly up with him? Well, first it's revealed that Katya is Anton's granddaughter, again, like I said, and that Sophia, who's Anton's lover that we've been seeing in the flashback scenes, was actually pregnant with their daughter. It's how it worked was that Katya's mom is the daughter of Anton and Sophia. You getting that? I think you are at this point, hopefully. And left false sense due to thinking that the town wouldn't really be a safe place for her. And to even add more salt to the wound, which this is really heartbreaking, I'm not gonna lie, it was actually revealed that Sophia passed away. It was technically sort of revealed in Chapter 3 where Katya said she wanted to fulfill her grandmother's wishes and all, but yeah, again, that's just really tragic. Like, He's been stuck in the castle for 50 years and hasn't seen her in 50 years, and then he never gets to see her again because, well, she died. Like, that's so tragic. This leads to Anton breaking a freaking chandelier on accident, making the castle just collapse and end the entire illusion of false sense. Heck, we even get to see an older version of Anton as well. Now, we're not exactly done just yet, as Layton decides to get the box back to Anton since it actually has a letter that Anton gave to Sophia. That was what was originally in the box. After this puzzle, it's shown that Sophia did actually receive the letter, saying that she hopes to see Anton again soon. But first, Anton decides to hold off on that promise, as he has more catching up to do with Katya, which is pretty wholesome, I'm not gonna lie. After that, Layton and Luke head back to London, and that's the entire game right there. Two more things that I want to add. First, Flora is picked up during the credits, back at Dropstone, and second, it's found out that Dr. Schrader is actually still alive. I think he was just in a coma from what happened.
And that was Professor Layton and the Diabolical / Pandora's box. Overall, I think this game is a pretty big step up from Curious Village, as, to be honest, it fits some of the issues with that game, and overall, again, I just think this is a way better game than Curious Village. Again, when I first played, I couldn't really decide which one to choose from, but yeah, I can definitely say nowadays that Diabolical Box feels like a much better improvement from Curious Village. And this doesn't mean saying Curious Village is a terrible game and it goes right at the bottom of the list because it's bad. No, that is not the case. I just overall think that Diabolical Box does a lot of things better than Curious Village, and I still think Curious Village is an amazing game at the end of the day. But of course, after this game, Level 5 will be working hard on the final game in this trilogy. So I recommend you go ahead and head to your local Target to get 5 boxes of tissues, as next time on Professor Layton, a Puzzling Retrospective, I am going to be looking at Professor Layton and the Unwound / Lost Future.